Boss, I think we should upgrade some of our computer systems and also digitize some of our operations to better protect our data. We also have a lot of hard copy records. If we were to digitize them, I think they'll be really helpful. And may I propose that we purchase some tablets and
Ponsap. Your plan sounds great, but do we need to have all of it right now? We have limited budget and resources at the moment. Perhaps some of these measures could be implemented at a later date? Can we have a simpler solution first for our data protection plan?
Yes, boss! Boss wanted me to look into simpler and more immediate solutions to help us kickstart our personal data protection policies. I'm here to look for Mrs. Unisto, Executive Director of TTSH Community Fund. The Tock Seng Hospital Community Fund supports over 2,500 beneficiaries with assistive aids to help them in daily living. The fund also promotes better patient care through medical research and medical training. Eunice, I understand that the TTSH Development Fund and the Volunteer Management Office have been handling a lot of personal data belonging to beneficiaries, volunteers and even donors. You have been doing so for the past 10 years. How do you go about doing that?
We have a small team behind. I'm not doing this alone. Yes, you're right. There's a lot of data to manage, and you need policies to be in place. You need to put processes and standard operating procedures, what you call SOPs, to manage this correctly. For example, the roll of honor that I showed you, that's where we acknowledge donors who made substantial donations, and you need to seek their consent before putting these names up on the board itself. We have to reconfirm that they are agreeable to have their names up, because sometimes a donor just want to keep a low profile and they can change their mind to be anonymous. And in such cases, then we can't reveal that they have made a donation.
Wow, sounds amazing. And you've got so much information. How do you store the data?
A lot of the data is computerized, but then of course not everything is computerized, because when people fill in forms, these are hard copy forms.
So you've got both the hard copy and the soft copies.
Soft copy. And hard copy is always a challenge, because hard copies can be anywhere. And so we've got to put in processes where the security of such information, which is confidential, and where it is kept.
So where are they kept?
This is in my office. Now, I can show you this later in the office.
Cool,
Shall we?
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, getting here isn't easy at all. It's like going into a maze.
Yes, that's true. You see, access is very restricted over here. And yes, this is my office.
So that's the cabinet for volunteer management, and this one is for fundraising.
That's right. And the fundraising holds the information on the donors, the events, and so on. But the beneficiaries' documents are with the finance. All these cupboards are locked. You will find that later behind the door, as they go out, there is also a reminder sign.
Eunice, you've got so many data protection policies in place. How do you make sure everyone complies with it?
In order that we keep data confidential and protected, then staff have to be trained. But then in this case here, we are talking about donors, about beneficiaries. All right. Of course, some of the beneficiaries are patients and some are not. They are people in the community. Then there are also volunteers. All right. So training has to be given to staff and also to volunteers.
Oh, nice place.
Well, this is TTSH Care Connect, and this is where we also train our volunteers.
So if I were to be keen to be a volunteer here, what sort of training do I have to go through?
Well, first you have to fill in a form, and that is the first instance that volunteers, encounter the PDPA. When the volunteers come to the hospital, they interact or befriend patients, and in the course of this, they actually get to know information about the patients, And therefore, they need to be trained because they can't go back and discuss this with their family, which means that information that they gather in the course of their volunteer work is not something that they can go home and discuss with their family or even share with their family.
So you only provide
Restricted.
information that will help them with their job.
Yes, limited to what they need to know. Restricted, yes.
We have that in our company's SOP as well.
Right.
Checked. I'm just curious because my boss wanted me to find a way to implement all these policies and at a very low cost. Is that possible?
Well, it is in fact. I'm very proud to tell you that we didn't engage any legal help for this.
No lawyers involved.
No lawyers. We did this in-house all by ourselves. For us, we spent zero.
You did it at zero cost, so it's possible to do it at zero
Like
cost.
I said, what we put in is manpower, time, right? Yes. And at a charity, every cent counts and we just want to save all this money. But that doesn't mean that we compromise. What we did as a team is to look at the requirement of the Act, the 9 areas, all right? And then analyze this, examine it, look at how we can fit into this, where our processes can be reviewed and tightened, and the policies that we have to put in place.
I think you just debunked a myth that to implement data protection policies, it's very expensive. That's not true. Oh, well, thank you for all the insights. My boss will be so excited, especially the part where you spend $0 on the implementation. Got it. I'll just get everything down. Okay, thank you, Eunice. Thank you so
welcome.
much.